Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to demystify the world of malicious software, or malware. We'll break down exactly what it is, how it works, and, most importantly, how you can stay protected.
All right, let's just dive right in with a number that shows you exactly why this matters so much. $6 trillion. That was the predicted global cost of cybercrime way back in 2021. And cybersecurity analysts, they say that cost is growing by about 15% every single year. So yeah, this makes malware a massive economic issue, not just some technical headache.
So what exactly are we talking about when we say malware? Well, this slide gives us the core idea. Just think of malware as a big umbrella term for any software that's been built with bad intentions, whether that's to mess up a network, steal your passwords, or just sneak around your computer's security. To really understand the threat, we first have to know the different shapes it can take. See, malware isn't just one thing. It's more like a whole family of threats, and each one has its own unique way of causing trouble. You know, malware is nothing new. As this timeline shows, it's evolved right alongside technology itself. It all started back in the 80s, spreading physically on floppy disks, if you can believe it. Then, by 1988, the Morris worm showed the world it could travel all on its own across networks. In the 90s, it got sneaky, hiding inside our everyday documents. But since the early 2000s, everything's changed. The main motivation went from just pranks to pure profit. And that evolution, from simple nuisance to organized crime, is exactly why modern malware is so much more dangerous.
Now, this is really interesting, how experts actually classify software. It's not just black and white, goodware versus malware. There's this whole middle category called grayware. And as you can see, this is where you find stuff like spyware and adware. It's software that isn't actively trying to, say, delete all your files, but it might be tracking your every move online or flooding you with pop-up ads. It lives in that blurry and often pretty risky zone between legit and malicious.
Okay, first up, the most famous one of them all, the computer virus. The main thing you gotta remember here is that a virus is basically a parasite. It can't survive on its own, it has to latch onto a host file, like a program. And it can't spread until a person, you, runs that infected file. That's the trigger that lets the virus loose to replicate. Next, we have the worm, and this is a much more independent threat. Unlike a virus, a worm is its own standalone program. It doesn't need to piggyback on anything. It's actually designed to hunt for vulnerabilities in a network and then copy itself to other computers, all without a human lifting a finger. That's what lets worms spread so ridiculously fast. So here's the crucial difference, and this slide breaks it down perfectly. A virus needs you to do something. Open a bad attachment, run an infected program, something. A worm, on the other hand, is a totally self-propagating agent. It just uses network connections to spread all by itself.
Just like in the old Greek myth, a Trojan horse tricks its way onto your system. It pretends to be something you actually want, a free game, a cool new app, you name it. It doesn't spread like a virus or a worm, but once you've been tricked into letting it in, it often creates a backdoor, which gives an attacker remote control over your entire computer. And then there's one of the scariest modern types, ransomware. This is basically digital extortion. The malware gets in, encrypts all your personal files, photos, documents, everything, and makes them totally useless. Then the attackers demand a ransom, usually in crypto, to give you the key to unlock your own data. It literally holds your digital life hostage. Okay, so now we know the what. The next big question is how, right? How do these nasty things actually find their way onto our devices? Understanding these common risks is really the first step to building a solid defense. You know, the ways they get in are often surprisingly simple, things we deal with every single day. As you can see here, attackers take advantage of everything from software that's not updated to passwords that are just way too easy to guess. But I really want you to look at that point about email. One report found that a staggering 96% of malware is delivered through email. That makes our inbox the #1 gateway for attacks. Knowing the risks is half the battle. So now, let's focus on the solution, on clear, simple steps we can all take. And the good news is, a little bit of basic digital hygiene goes a long, long way. This slide lays out a really simple but powerful 3-step plan. First, use good anti-malware software. That gives you real-time protection and can even isolate suspicious files in a safe space. That's called sandboxing. Second, keep your software updated. All those little update notifications, they're patching the exact security holes we were just talking about. And third, lock down your accounts. Use strong, unique passwords and turn on two-factor authentication. It just makes it so much harder for anyone to break in.
All right, so we've covered the threats, we've covered the defenses. What's the single most important thing to remember from all of this?
The key takeaway is really this. Security isn't some product you buy off a shelf. It's a practice you have to build. It's not about becoming a security genius. It's just about forming good habits. Thinking for just a second before you click, keeping your software updated, and treating your digital data with the same care you'd give your actual wallet. It's an ongoing process, not a one-and-done fix. So we'll end with a question for you to think about. As everything in our lives, from our homes to our cars, gets connected to the internet, the number of ways attackers can get in just keeps growing. So what is the single most important habit that you can build to stay safe? Whether it's finally starting to use a password manager or just being more skeptical of weird emails, remember, the best defense always starts with our own actions.